But the LSU staff continues to take shape as Matt House has been hired, and one of the big boys, right? One of the big hires, Matt House, who's currently the Kansas City Chiefs Linebackers coach and has been for the last 3 seasons, or including this one, right? So first season they win the Super Bowl, second season they lose the Super Bowl. Now it looks like they're in line for another one potentially. But he's been there. And Hilly, I talked about a lot this morning, so I kind of want to bounce off of you. What was your reaction in the news? Like, what do you think about this?
I mean, it wasn't one of those hires where kind of when you heard the Coach Kelly, I was like, whoa, like where did that come from? We kind of heard this name for the past couple of weeks, and so it kind of didn't just blow me away. Like, man, what the heck are we doing? I kind of expected it a little bit, but when you kind of look at his background and kind of look at the stuff he's done, coaching Aaron Donald, one of the best players I've probably ever seen play defensive line, and doing the job he did at Kentucky. With those draft picks they got from those defenses, and obviously going against probably the most prolific offense every day in practice, I think you can learn a thing or two about stopping offenses. So I think I think for me, I like the hire, and I trust Coach Kelly. The hires he's made in the past. You look at some of the defensive coordinators, Elko, Marcus Freeman, and now you bring in House.
Yeah.
I trust him, man. And until I see otherwise, I'm going to ride with it. Put my LSU bifocals on and really look through those lenses. And I think for me, I do like the hire, and I think when you get that backing from my boy Honey Badger, the best defensive player in LSU history, I'm going to support that for sure.
It's funny, we're pretty of like mind on pretty much everything, like bullet for bullet. Like first off, yeah, my brain also is kind of broken where Tyron's the best football player I've ever shared a locker room with, and so when he comes out, and if you missed a tweet after the news announced, Tyrann Mathieu tweets, I'm excited for Coach House and all of Tiger Nation. This man loves football and teaching. One of the best I've been around. This Tiger defense will be well coached from day one. Let's all buy in forever LSU. So, same way I did when we were playing, even though he's a sophomore, like anything Tyron says, I'll listen to. So, I think it was our boy Will Blackwell that responded. I'm just going to use this tweet for any time somebody asks for my thoughts on the hire. So, like, I do agree with that. I think that it's not exciting. The resume is good, but not great, right? I mean, It's not like it's not anything that's going to blow you away. But the other thing you hit on that I do really like from a resume standpoint that I actually like even better than, now I like that he has a lot of DC experience, but I really like that he's been in Kansas City for the last 3 years, right? Mm-hmm. Because as you said, you're going against Mahomes, Bieniemy, and Andy Reid every single day, and all of his offensive weapons, obviously, right? If that's not going to get you, I mean, he is battling at the forefront. Because when you're talking about Reid, it's not just a really good offense, but you're talking about, like, Andy Reid and Bieniemy seem to stay at the front of offensive theory, right? About, like, what can be done, like new play design. So he has been battling on the front lines of offensive theory. You would think that would mean then, of course, he could handle whatever schemes and be able to customize his personnel here at LSU to whatever he feels like, or customize his scheme to whatever he feels like his personnel will be best at. Now, I think the other part of this is, I said, I'll repeat it from this morning, why would you ever trust anything I say? I celebrate every hire, and obviously some have been awful lately. Pelini, not good. Pete's not good, but like, well, not like definitely not good. Not that his ass that Pelini was. Not good. Very fundamental problems. But also now I look back and I'm like, well, kind of course, right? He'd never done it before. That's why you get seasoning. It wasn't. And Durante Jones, the exception. I think he ended up pretty damn solid. Just kind of is what it is, where he was just a victim of the circumstance. But the point is, in my opinion, you never know if a hire is going to be good or not. Okay, it's not until the actual games are played, till you open that box, is the coach good or not. And so I'm an optimist. I'm going to choose to believe that Matt House is going to be good. And then the third pillar, like you said, I mean, Brian Kelly. We're all in with that, man. Yeah. Like, it's like for better or worse, right?
Yeah.
You're married.
Yeah.
And I want to start this relationship built on a basis of trust. So I'm going to give him, I'm going to give him my trust, which, looking at his past, is probably earned for making these hires.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And I think for me, watching this LSU defense, especially before the Alabama game, I'm pretty sure we won't be lined up in man coverage every play with Coach House. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that. And I'm pretty sure Coach House isn't probably gonna be calling Lane Kiffin for any play call suggestions either. So I think it'll be a jump, at least from what we've seen. But I like the way we played the end of that season. I think that is probably what kind of got defensive coordinators excited. You're trying out your BNC team on the defense, and you're holding Alabama to 20 points. You beat a Texas 8-4 team that wanted to come in Baton Rouge and get themselves an opportunity to win 10 games in the season, and your defense showed up and played well. So I think you still have a lot of talent, especially on the defensive line. I think that's going to be the strong suit for the team next year. I think Coach House can work with that. I think you got some talent. You got some freshmen coming in. I'm excited to see what he can do with it.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I'm a DC dude and I'm looking at LSU, it's like, okay, if you're DC, what do you probably covet over everything? People that can cover and people that can rush the passer. Yep. Well, there's two things that Louisiana makes. Now, I think we make great running backs as well. I mean, great skill positions all around. But, I mean, your DBs are going to be unparalleled. And in a lot of ways, same for the D-line, right? And so, yeah, look, O-line, you're going to have to get creative. You're not going to have, like, Will Campbell and Emory Jones and other guys like that sitting around every year, but that don't matter to the DC. Like, you can come here, and it is proven you can build elite squads, and they're going to pay you. Like, I'm sure he got a really nice payday to go along with it as well. What I love, too, though, is specifically when Tyron talks about them being well-coached from day one. And one of the reasons why I think that's significant is because he has been very vocal and out there on Twitter about some of the fundamental coaching that it feels like LSU's been missing the last couple of years in terms of like maintaining leverage and just technique and responsibilities. It just so if nothing else, you have to imagine these guys will at least know what to do, which they were better about this season, but then even the technique left a bit to be desired.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think for me, being able to be coached by one of the best offensive coaches, I think, in NFL history, Coach Belichick, that's the first thing he starts with. Technique. Before we worry about getting interceptions, before we worry about, shutting people out, getting shutouts, we're going to know every technique down to every last detail we can do it, and then we'll build on that. So everything's about technique, and I think for me especially, watching our linebackers last year, in the 2020 season, it blew me away, man. Guys were just running to the wrong gaps. You kind of saw that a little bit in the UCLA game, and I'm like, this is the same stuff. Like, you got to make it hard for the other team. When you are just making it easy, just giving them open lanes, watching that Kentucky game, just giving them wide open rushing lanes, you got to fit every gap. And if they make you miss or something like that, that's fine because you're going against elite college athletes, but you got to know the basics, fundamentals of football, and I think that's what Coach House is going to bring. Well,
and it's crazy because you're right. 2020 linebackers were a disaster. It's one of the reasons why I love this year from Damone Clark so much is because I feel like I felt bad about how critical I had to be of him in 2020, right? Mm-hmm. But it was literally the most passive, like, worst linebacker play I'd ever seen in my life. And Blake Baker – not just Blake Baker. Damone Clark's at the heart of it. He turned it around. But Blake Baker was kind of the steward to kind of help him along the way, and he made himself not just great, but like elite. I mean, he made himself into from worst linebacker player to an All-American. And that sort of year-to-year improvement, I think that's I think that's one of the reasons why Clark has really stuck in LSU fans' memories. Like, this will mostly be a season lost to time, but people, at least a lot of people, will remember what Damone Clark did this year. And you're like, okay, well, then why didn't you keep Blake Baker if you led such an incredible turnaround? Now we see why you didn't keep Blake Baker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You got to read the tea leaves sometimes. You let a really good linebacker coach, and I really can't point to a player maybe. Maybe Joey Burrow made that huge leap, like, whoa, like, what are we seeing now? But other than that, I can't really point to an LSU player that made a leap like Damone Clark made this season. Just two different players when you cut on the film, two different players when you watch LSU. And I think for Coach House, he can do something similar to that, especially with the linebackers, which we're going to be extremely light at next year. I'm kind of worried. That's probably the one position group.
I haven't really thought about that.
Yeah, that's the one position group I'm kind of worried about a little bit. We lack in the depth, but maybe Harold Perkins can help us out a little bit. So shout out Harold Perkins, man. You might want to be a Tiger coming up here.
We're going to get hell yeah, dude. We're going to get some yeah, because Damone's not playing. So you're going to get Baskerville, Mike Jones Jr., Where the bats will be gone. I never know guys' eligibilities anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the COVID year is just wacky.
It's impossible to know. Okay, so what coaches are left now? Right now, you have Kerry Cooks, who's either your secondary or safeties coach, or maybe corners. Do you know?
I don't know if he took the full reins. I'm pretty sure he probably did, but I know Coach Raymond only coached one of those, so we could potentially bring another guy in. Or you could just let, Coach Cooks coach both of them. So I don't think that's been kind of named or determined yet.
So you have Cooks at least in some portion of the secondary. You have House now that you would figure would factor into linebackers coach in D.C. You have Frank, who's obviously your recruiting coordinator, kind of a key to a lot of things, but also I think probably the running backs coach.
Yep.
If we had to guess, especially with the Falk news, again, the tea leaves, like Hilly said.
Yep.
Brad Davis sticking around as O-line coach. Love that. I've been really enjoying him in the interim press conferences and everything. You have Brian Pulling at special teams. So what coaches are left? Okay, you still need your QB coach. Although it's interesting because I do think Brian Kelly's more involved in the QB room than I ever really realized. But you still need your OC, who's probably your QB coach, right?
Yep.
You need your wide receiver coach.
Yep.
D-line's up in the air. Will it be Andre Carter? Will it not? We'll see. And then, I mean, the staff's done.
Yeah, that's it. So what is it? Four hires left?
Yeah, potentially 5 if you go with a safety or a 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, because staffs can be 10 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you wanted to hire a safety coach, but maybe go tight ends coach. I guess we could throw
tight ends.
There we go. We'll throw a tight end coach on there.
Yep.
So 5 hires left to be made, but slowly but surely, this thing started to take shape. Although you're not going to see House for a while.
No shot. He's there. I think they're making a deep run here, so it's okay though. I mean, we don't play games again until next September, so we can let them make that run and then let them come into town, and maybe it'll. I mean, at least the recruits will know who their defensive coordinator is now.
You think the Chiefs are? Is there? I mean, who in the AFC could topple them?
If they're at home, I don't know. It's gonna be tough to come into that place, that Ruckus Arena, and then Kelsey will be back, and you got Mahomes buzzing at an all-time level. I have no idea who can beat them, man. Mahomes looks like he's got that magic back. And when that dude's running magical around the field, throwing behind the back between legs passes, eyes closed, no-look passes, it's hard to stop, man.
Yeah. But you know who else has that magic?
In the AFC?
Our guy.
Oh, yeah.
Our guy. I might be being a slave to the moment here.
Yeah, you are.
Because it's been a very week-to-week season for your Bengals, but damn, dude.
Hey, guess what, though?
I mean, Joey B, though,
guess
dude.
what, though?
He is the giant killer.
We get to see that matchup this weekend, actually.
Is that right? I didn't realize. It's coming up this Sunday?
Yes,
Burrow
we
Mahomes?
do. Yeah, Burrow Mahomes. That'll be must-see TV right there.
That is an alpha on an alpha right there, bro.